Waxers, and welcome to Waxing Lyrical with Mains and Duts. I'm your host Mains, and my colleague, who's just had confirmation that he will have to give all his money to the Disney Corporation in December, that's Mr. Neil Dutton. How are we, Neil?
They know where to hit me where my wallet lives.
For those who are unsure why Neil will be giving his life savings over to the Disney Corporation in December, that is due to confirmation that in Rogue One there will be a Mr. Darth Vader.
I know how they're going to screw me, and somehow it'll be, some kind of, spoiler alert, 2 minutes at the end, just enough time to hear the Imperial March, and there you go. Thanks for the money.
Thanks for that. Well, the thing is, though, maybe when you go and watch it the fifth time, you'll expect a different result. That's the issue, Dutton. The issue. But Disney are 1 for 1 on Star Wars films, whereas George Lucas, the man who created it, is 3 for 6. So. And
in a worrying 3-game skid.
in a worrying 3-game skid, has had to speak to his general manager about his personnel decisions, especially the Anakin Skywalker one. #failure.
Absolutely.
Me and you literally could have done a better job. I've never acted before. He's a cardboard cutout.
Yeah. Made Keanu Reeves look dynamic.
Gee, my favourite one of the Keanu Reeves is that, Keanu Reeves was about 15th choice for The Matrix, and the first guy he wanted was Will Smith, one of the most charismatic men on the planet. How could he have played Neo in The Matrix? Very differently, I think, is the only way to describe it.
But we've had this before. I mean, obviously we know now how it would have been, but Will Smith's Neo would have been totally different. The same way that Tom Selleck's Indiana Jones would have been different. I probably wouldn't be playing him late into his 70s.
Yeah, it's like Harrison Ford hasn't got enough money to be getting along with. To Indiana Jones again.
Yeah, I saw the headline say Spielberg confirms he will not kill Harrison Ford in Indy 5. Well, I'm sure that's a relief to Harrison Ford.
You may not have nothing to do with it, though. You may not have nothing to do with it. It could just be natural causes. He's that old, Stephen.
Yeah, but I say, surely, do you mean you're not going to kill Indiana Jones? Because I don't think, Stephen, you've got the power to go around slaughtering actors. I think the Screen Actors Guild might get a bit upset about this.
I don't know. He has got a lot of power. So Dalton, let's get on with the show. Weird World, start with as always. Then we're going to do a quick summer sport review. 3 sports, 2 which we know, one more than the other on both ends, and then something we know nothing about, but we're happy to jump on a bandwagon about. And then we're going to do Neil's 13 tight ends. That's right, there's 13 tight ends in the NFL that Dalton thinks could be fantasy relevant.
I do.
Well, he says that. We'll find out. We'll find out soon enough. So let's just get on with the show and let's get straight into it with Weird World. You ever done fancy dress, Dalton?
Only at the cricket.
What did we go dressed as?
Doctors.
So we didn't wear a mask or anything like that. I'm not a fancy dress person.
No, we just literally we had scrubs on, bandanas, and a couple of cheap stethoscopes.
We didn't really struggle to get out of said uniform, did we?
No.
An Alabama teen did struggle to get out of some kind of costume that she got herself into recently. Firefighters rescue Alabama teen from giant Barney head. That's Barney. I love you. You love me.
Doodah, doodah.
A 15-year-old girl trapped. This is word for word, by the way. This is from Alabama.com. Yeah, that is a website, which I might be subscribing to. A 15-year-old girl trapped for a harrowing 45 minutes was rescued by Trussville firefighters. But Darby Brincer wasn't stuck in a cave or an overturned car or crib. Don't know why she'd be in a. I don't know if you mean crib as in house or crib as in cot, but anyway, she was stuck in the head of Barney the dinosaur, the big plush purple head of Barney the dinosaur. Well written, this guy. Or lady. Oh, it's lady. Carol Robinson.
How poetic.
You can't follow her on Twitter. It's true. And the last thing on her mind at that point was, I love you, you love me. The Head was closing in on me, Derby told Alabama.com. It was like I was stuck in a small place and couldn't get out, panicking.
No, it wasn't. It's a fancy dress helmet.
It all began on Sunday night as a joke with friends. The prank, however, went awry and the joke ended up being on Derby. Okay, we're gonna drift now into something that we need to both be very careful about. Okay, Derby and a group of her girlfriends was at the night spending a party after church. While waiting for her friends to come down, she spotted the Barney Head, which her pastor had bought several years ago. So that's right, Dutton. The priest of said church, which had a party of young teenage girls, had a Barney the dinosaur head in his room.
Please move on.
Okay. I just reading further on. They slathered Vaseline on her arms, but it was still a no-go. How deep was this thing on her head? 45 minutes later. Where did they get
Vaseline from?
I don't know. We're back into this church. Have you watched Spotlight, Dutton?
No.
Okay, don't read the story and then watch Spotlight and then come back to me. This is a horrific story. We could get ourselves in a lot of trouble, so we're going to move on. If you want to know about said related things, I'd speak to a colleague of ours called David Donafhy. He went to said school of similar ilk and may be able to enlighten you on stories related to that.
But the thing is, right, if you've put Vaseline on something and managed to slip it onto your head, logically, how do you get the thing off? Apply Vaseline? Or have you used it all?
I have no idea, son.
I mean, and was it harrowing 45 minutes? Do we therefore have to believe that the poor sod who spent his career playing Barney was basically living one big long panic attack the whole time he was filming the show?
How massive is her head, or how tiny is her priest's head?
Again, that is scandalous. Phrasing. So let's move on.
Phrasing. That needs. I need to get a Archie drop for that one.
Yeah.
Let's move on now. Budweiser. So, Dun, let's make America great again. Some buffoon is saying right now. It seems like that America's favourite beer, or as we would call it, fizzy gas, is taking that to heart. So, beer just got a little more patriotic, Done. Not to say America like an ice cold can of mass-produced beer. I think it does, but anyway. The Anheuser-Busch Company announced Tuesday that the company is replacing the Budweiser logo with America on its 12-ounce cans, who has a 12-ounce can, by the way, and bottles this summer.
Great.
The cans will be available. The cans of Patriotic Nectar, well, in usatoday.com, will be available until November election, and aimed to inspire drinkers to celebrate America and Budweiser's shared values of freedom and authenticity.
Yeah, because that's the goal of all alcohol-producing companies. When I think Budweiser, I do think freedom and authenticity. That's what I think. Budweiser should be free, that's why.
Yeah, my dad still drinks it. Like, mum buys it and then you go round. Would you want a drink? Yeah, I'll have a beer. Oh, thanks. Can I have this American fizzy gas? That's awesome. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Did you not have any warm piss off a nettle you could offer me?
It's just fantastic, isn't it?
I mean, are we going to go this other way now? Do other countries have to start adopting, place names?
Well, my question for you then, Sutton, is what would Britain change? What food/drink would they change to say Britain rather than the company?
Sausage and mash?
Yeah, but you can't get that in a packet or a can you, Div?
Oh, Vimto?
Tizer? Iron Brew, just Scotland.
Yeah.
Bam.
I mean, I suppose, Kronenberg could just call theirs Surrender. And, you have the, Belgium could call theirs Just Come Through.
Grey. Belgium would just be grey. Some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Russia, buy your drugs here, just like random drugs. You can just says Russia on them.
Yeah. Italy, or Peroni would just be called what? Corrupt?
Vaffa Napoli, just like a hand signal. The Italian one would just be a dude doing some kind of hand gesture.
Yeah. So I think we've offended enough people there.
Let's move on, Tom. Let's move on. we got a classic. I don't really know anything about this. It came from Twitter. It came from Andrew, who's got possibly the greatest Twitter handle of all time, which is at Chewbacca's beard. He follows it on from Kevin Smith, legend that is Kevin Smith, who got it from @ScanBC. The question everybody's asking right now is why the heck is Kevin Smith following the British Columbia police scanner? But anyway, Vancouver police are responding to Templeton doctor after female pooped on male's lawn, picked up poop and smeared it on his door. What's the strangest thing you've smeared on someone's door, Dutton?
My disappointment.
You've got to have done a bogey back in the day when you were like 6.
No, I've always had the problem, having the concern my bogey wasn't enough to leave anywhere.
I love it, Tom. I love it. There's no story behind that. It doesn't come from it. Just Kevin Smith basically told Waxing Lyrical, thanks Kevin. We appreciate it.
Big fans.
Big fans. Really wish you would have done Batman versus Superman. Not that buffoon Zack Snyder. And he said Daniel Snyder there. That would have been hilarious. Call us, yeah. Give us a shout. We're happy to do more Rats 3. We proposed this a long time ago when we worked at the cinema.
Absolutely.
We're not even supposed to be here today.
No.
Done. Some would say we've started the summer. Do you know that? Because it's pissed down for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, these some who'd say there's a liars or idiots, one or the other.
I don't know if you saw, I had a conversation with a friend of the pod and legend Marcus Grant today on Twitter, who's coming to Amsterdam and Dublin on the same trip, and I was like, do you not want to get back to LA? His response was a picture of him at the beach with a beer with an 81 degrees sign outside. I sent him a picture of the screen inside the locked cabin that I'm in with no windows. I wanted to swear at him, but I like Marcus, so I didn't. And I know he's feeling sad at the moment because his Warriors lost in the NBA championships. We have had some summer, and due to that we've had some summer-related sport done. We want to quickly go through them, give our thoughts on what's been going on so far. We'll go to your area of expertise first, and that's the cricket. We've had the Sri Lanka Test series and we've had the first one-day international, but we don't talk about pyjama games here on What's in Lyrical if we can help it. So we're just going to focus on the Test series. Sorry, my first question to you, Dutton, is: was the Test series worthwhile? As they weren't very good.
Well, they weren't very good, but it's one of those, you can only beat what's in front of you. And obviously, the series, it was notable that Johnny Bairstow finally looks like a Test batsman. This new technique he's got where he's standing basically like a baseball batter or hitter, whichever you want. So he's starting to come into his own as a Test batsman. We've managed to see that there are some players who struggled against this poor quality, so they're probably not the people we want to have moving forward. I do mean you, Nick Compton. And also, it was a good chance for the likes of Chris Wokes to showcase his claims. Ben Stokes, who is hopefully part of the England setup for many years to come, but does have the odd injury problem.
So I mean, if we start with the Wokes thing, he bowls fast, he can bat. His bats very well, actually, as Durham County. Is seen as an all-rounder, but with genuine bowling all-rounder, not the old school all-rounder that used to bowl 75 mile an hour diddly-dobblies, or the hit-out like Stuart Broad, quote-unquote all-rounder, who's actually a bowler who every now and again flings his bat. How many all-rounders can England pick if they're going to pick? Can they pick Ali, Stokes and Wokes?
Well, it's one of those, as long as they're all working, yes. I mean, it's coming down to this. We grew up, those who grew up watching English cricket in the 90s and early 2000s were blessed/afflicted that we would alternate between the unplayable Andy Caddick and the unwatchable Andy Caddick. And unfortunately, as much as I am a big fan, I do like him, I fear that Stephen Finn is going that way. Some days he looks incredible. Other days he looks, I'd fancy you, mate, you're going back over your head. So if you can say to someone like Wokes who can come in and bat at 8 or 9 and averages 30 odd in first class cricket and has scored 9 first class centuries, then yeah, there is no reason why not. I mean, all rounders. I mean, if they're good all rounders, fill your team with them. The one question mark I would have, I say at the moment, is Mo Ali did score 150 in the second test, but only took 2 wickets. Now, obviously, a lot of the damage was done by the fast bowlers, and as the summer progresses, he'll be asked to do more. But with a winter being spent entirely on the subcontinent, he'll be asked to do a lot more. So maybe a summer, not off, but a lesser load will stand him in good stead for the work he'll have to do in Bangladesh and India.
There's no real issues with batting 6 through 9, weirdly enough. Seem to score a lot of runs in that area. Where we aren't scoring runs this summer, and I include Joe Root, although obviously removed from the fact that he is awesome, is 3, 4 and 5. What do we do about that? Who do we call upon? What's the next plan of action?
Well, 3 has been a problem spot for England for the majority of my time on God's green earth. I mean, we've had periods of stability with Michael Vaughan, Jonathan Trott batting there for good lengths of time and being quite consistent. But more often than not, we've struggled there. So Nick Compton was the latest person to try there. First game back, scored 85 against South Africa and has struggled ever since. I spoke earlier that Johnny Bairstow had been able to change his technique to become more effective at Test cricket. Nick Compton is too old, I think, to change. It take him too long to go away, make these changes and come back. And given that he doesn't quite fit in with this, free-flowing, expressive England side, he's a bit, introverted. I'm not saying you don't need a crab. You do, but we've got Alistair Cook who can do that. We've got other players who've shown that the longer they stay at the crease, the more runs they'll score. The days of occupying the crease do seem to be going. Now, if you occupy the crease, you have to score runs. And Compton, aside to say from a couple of innings, has never really taken Test cricket by the scruff of the neck. So it's time to move on. And obviously the people whose names are coming up are youngsters who deserve a go. There's Scott Borthwick, of Durham, who initially made his Test debut as a leg spinner, who batted way down the order, but he'd be looking to come in at 3, although he did have 2 single-digit scores against Yorkshire, so you fail against the best. And then there's Daniel Bell-Drummond of Kent, who's very exciting, very aggressive batsman, gets on with it. Obviously, Joe Root, the logical assumption people have is that he should move up to 3, but we've done this, leave him at 4. Peterson never wanted to bat at 3, so he never made him, and he got most of his runs at 4. Leave Root where he is. Vince, I think, needs to realise that as lovely a cover drive as he's got, doesn't have to play one every over. And if he's going to leave the ball, try and get outside your off stump a little bit, pal.
So I assume that what we're saying is that Vince stays for Pakistan. In England, Compton's out. We'd probably go with Borthwick.
Yeah, I would think so. I think the fact that Borthwick, again, offers a spinning option, doesn't do an awful lot. He doesn't do as much bowling as he did in his youth, but he still offers a spin option, which means, potentially it's, another spin, a leg spinner they can have in the subcontinent, and they don't have to sacrifice one of the quicks.
Okay, Dalton. Let's move on. As we speak right now, there's football on, but we won't focus on Ireland, Italy, and Belgium, Sweden. We'll just look at around what we've done so far. We'll start with the nation that we were born in. It's England. I know some people may say it's Liverpool. We prefer to think of that more as a principality, maybe a sovereign state. But we have to put England on our passport. It's just one of those quirks of life. It's the same results, done. But for me, it's not the same old England. I know there's been a lot of abuse of Roy, and I'm first on the list because I watched him manage and I don't think he's very good. What I will say is that I don't think I've seen an England team keep the ball that well. They haven't looked penetrating, that's an issue. They're too slow. but it's definitely not. It's same results for me, but not necessarily same old England.
I know what you mean, but I'm what I call myself a traditionalist. By that, maybe I'm a flaming revolutionary. You have to score goals.
Oh no, I don't disagree with that, Dutton. But I am modern when it comes to football. And I have this weird concept that I think I know Leicester flew in the face of that, but it's a lot easier to score goals if you've got the ball more than the other team. Now, don't get me wrong, it would help if you had more talent and skill in midfield. I'm not going to deny that, but I think if you've got more of the ball, the other team can't score. People always wonder why Barcelona are so good in defending when you've got like Javier Mascherano playing centre half. The issue is that they've got 75% of the possession. It's not that difficult to defend when you've got the ball all the time. England's weakness is in the defence. They struggled, and I don't think that's not unclear. They've struggled to break down teams. They've struggled with 10 men behind the ball. They've got now Iceland, given the results today, so they'll probably struggle again. But when the games are more open, if they can keep the ball, they've got a better chance of at least attempting to get a game finished before they lose on penalty shootouts in the quarters.
The thing is for me, looking at the England squad, and I'm not going to go into a big diatribe about, this is the influx of foreign players and foreign academies or whatnot, but the biggest problem we have is that English players are crap and are overhyped because they're English. Yes, I am talking about Raheem Sterling. He's awful. He is bloody awful.
But the
One
thing
of
is,
the worst footballers I've ever seen.
The problem is, he is now. I'm not going to disagree with that. He wasn't at us for a 6-month period. The problem is that the elephant in the room is we've always been like that. It's not new, and people trying to convince you otherwise are soft, because they will blame manager after manager who've won titles across the globe. The fact that they couldn't get these good team players to play. The players aren't actually that good. They are overhyped. That's how they've always been. I don't think that's new. I'm glad they tried to get a young influx of players into the team. Has it worked? Probably not. But it's better to have loved and lost and never loved at all. Will you probably leave if they go out in the quarterfinals or last 16? Good luck finding a new manager. I'm not saying I want to keep Roy, but oh my god, the list of English managers who they could pick is horrific.
They're not going to sack Roy. Why would they?
I wouldn't, but I wouldn't because there's no one else to pick.
Yeah.
What do you think of the expanded format up in Wales, Iceland, Northern Ireland, Albania to some extent? How do you like the fact that these nations have got a chance to be in the competition, and not only done that, have thrived?
I'm always in favour of, in major tournaments, a concentration of excellence. I.e., if you're one of the best teams in qualifying, you get into this elite group. When you expand it, you invite mediocrity. You're finishing third in your group and going through. You've got 3 games. If you can't get 6 points in 3 games, go home.
Yeah, I think I like the expanded format for the groups. I like the idea of the teams like Iceland and Northern Ireland and Wales being in it. I don't understand why you then try and F about with it at that point to get the third place teams in. As you said, I'd rather you got 5 points and you qualify. I haven't got a problem with that. You're unbeaten or you've won 2 games, you qualify. Okay, cool. I'm not too sure of what many teams who've lost twice and won a game and get through.
No, I don't see what are they bringing. It's the same idea with we have the NFL. Let's expand the playoffs. We'll tell you what, let's have everyone in. Then why bother having a regular season?
Quick ones up and final prediction. Who have you got at the moment?
I've watched 1 game.
Okay, well I'm going to go as we stand right now. Some kind of Croatia-Germany based on the draw. Last thing, before we move on to your tight ends, we know Jack S about rugby and even less about rugby union. But correct me if I'm wrong, we're really good at it right now.
Yeah, we seem to have gone back into. We seem to be in our good at rugby union cycle. It seems to be, every 5 years we look into being good at it.
And we've looked into being good at it. We've won in 2 games in Australia, so we won a test series. That's the first time we've ever done that. let that settle in. We go there once every 4 years, and I've done for maybe 100, and this is the first time we've ever won there. Bravo to them, and screw you other rugby playing nations.
Yeah. How you like me now?
How you like me now, bitch? Done. It's that time. It's the end. The end's up in 13s, and we're at tight end. So before we get to it, I just have one question, and that is: was this a hard list to find?
I thought it would be, but what I did find is I think that the era of, if not Gronk's stream, I think those days could be gone. I think a lot more tight ends are going to be are becoming bigger parts of their offense. Most of these people I'm going to read out, in fact, all of them are veterans. They're established. It's still the hardest position in fantasy football for rookies to come in and make an impact. But there are names, there is potential around the league for a few youngsters to come in straight away and make an impact this year. None of whom make it on the top 13, but certainly there'll be names that should be looked out for.
Let's get on with it, Brendan. On who's 13?
Number 13 is Eric Ebron, who, from a fantasy efficiency rating last season, was actually very good in terms of his expected fantasy points per reception and per target. He actually exceeded those levels. He just sort of disappeared from the offense when Jim Bob Cooter took over. Obviously now there's no Calvin Johnson. Golden Tate has shown he can be a target monster without Megatron. Marvin Jones is going to get some red zone work, but that's where Eric Ebron can thrive as well. This fella was a first round draft pick and was taken, I'm sorry Lions fans, before Odell Beckham. I've got him at, thanks to my projections at Rotoviz, 60 receptions, 720 yards and 5 scores.
Number 12.
Number 12 is a man who has been a cheeky little option for, probably has won some fantasy leagues last few years. That's Delaney Walker. I'm slightly down on him because I don't really want any part of the Titans offense. I think Mike Mularkey is a windbag. He talks absolute gobbledygook and is kidding himself and everyone's connected with this team by what he says about his players. I do not believe for a second, for example, that Tajay Sharp is going to be ahead of Dorial Green-Beckham. It's not going to happen. I know they want to try and run the ball, and that is going to take targets away from all the receivers, especially Walker, who I think was the second most targeted tight end last season. I've got him for 63 receptions, 762 yards and 4 touchdowns. But I think you're pretty much getting his upside in with those projections. I don't think he's got much more room to go.
Number 11.
Number 11 is another old faithful who I think may well be a cyborg as he refuses to go away. That's Antonio Gates. He wants to play fewer snaps. Well, that's great. We'll wheel you out when we get near the end zone. They're going to pass the ball an awful lot. Their running game is meh. And Gates is... He's of receivers, of tight ends who we've seen the whole career. I don't think we've seen a better one, or more consistent one of his type for the whole career span. We haven't seen all of Gronk yet. We haven't seen all of Kelsey, these people. He's been an absolute wonderful model of consistency. I've got him 62 receptions, 703 yards, 6 touchdowns. The touchdowns, as I say, that could go up, especially with red zone work.
Number 10, done.
Number 10 is a Patriots tight end, not called Rob Gronkowski, Martellus Bennett. Now, they've acquired Bennett this year from the Chicago Bears for a late draft pick. Bennett has this habit of starting very well and then tailing off as the season goes. I think 20% of his career touchdowns have come in September. But I think the way Tom Brady, and it will be Brady as far as I'm concerned until I'm shown otherwise, is going to be the quarterback. Julian Edelman is coming off 2 foot surgeries. They haven't got a deep threat. Tight end is where they're going to go. They've done this before with Gronk and prisoner number 24601. Gronk and Bennett can both block. They can both catch, obviously. And I think he's going to... I mean, I'm not sure how many targets he'll get. I've got him down for 61 receptions, 684 yards and 7 touchdowns. Because in the red zone, you're going to have to cover Gronk and Bennett. Best of luck.
Number 9.
Number 9 is a tight end who's now been freed by a stablemate, finding a new home, and that's Dwayne Allen. Dwayne Allen is an absolute beast. Anyone whose nickname is RoboCop, you have to take them. You have to take them seriously. We don't know what this offense is going to look like. We don't know if Andrew Luck is going to be back to himself, but we know the days of the 2 tight end set are gone. We don't care about Jack Doyle. I'm terribly sorry. You're an Irish gangster by the sound of that surname, mate. Obviously, this offense is going to go through Luck. Frank Gore is 300 years old, and his yardage and his yards per carry have gone down every year for the last 4 years. So this is going to come on the back and the arm of Andrew Luck. So T.Y. Hilton, Philip Dorsett, Dante Moncrief. But again, red zone wise, and if he can stay on the field, Dwayne Allen, 61, 729, and 6.
Number 8, Tom.
Number 8 is Greg Olsen, who for a long time has been the best receiving option of the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are going to, we know what they are offensively. They're going to try and run the ball an awful lot. They're not going to. It's not a high volume passing attack. Olsen won't get as many yards. I think he's had 1,000 yards his last 2 seasons. I don't think he'll have that many, but I've still got him for 816 yards and 4 TDs on 64 receptions.
Is that the Kelvin Benjamin, Devin Funchess effect?
Funchess is coming into a second year, and he did look good down the stretch. Benjamin, as I say, an awful lot of his fantasy production in his rookie year came in garbage time. How bad do you think Carolina are going to be this season that they have to be throwing down 20 points in the fourth quarter? I don't think it's going to happen very often.
I can't see it happening at all, if often, yeah. So, no, that's a good point. Number 7, Dylan.
Number 7 is a former Panthers practice squatter, Gary Barnage. They gave him a new contract, the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, they're shipping veteran talent as much as they can to entrust in the youth. Some say it's to tank to get Deshaun. Is it Deshaun Watson?
Deshaun Watson, Clemson quarterback.
Yeah, little hint, Deshaun. Couple of pans of Scouts, get some meat on your bones, lad. Barnage is, the most reliable. He's the best veteran presence, because someone the other day said their veteran wide receiver core and included Terrell Pryor. He's been a wide receiver for 25 minutes. Barnage is still going to offer some good red zone production. 65 catches, 777 yards.
Number 6, Dylan.
Number 6, and he could be higher, but I cannot trust that he'll play 16 games. It's Tyler Eifert. They've lost a lot of targets. Mohamed Sanu has taken his box of tricks to Atlanta. Marvin Jones is with Eric Ebron in Detroit. AJ Green is going to be an absolute beast this year. He could see 200 targets. I honestly don't think that's an exaggeration. Tyler Eifert is a red zone threat. He scored, I think it was 11 red zone touchdowns last year, and 1 in 4 of his total receptions ended with a trip to the end zone. But I've got him for 63 catches, 739 yards, 7 touchdowns. All these numbers are quite similar. It's usually just the touchdowns that are pushing certain people higher.
Do we have any idea when he's going to be back, Eifert? Is there a plan on when? It's not week 1, is it? Am I right in that still?
He's unlikely to play in week 1, so they could trot out Tyler Croft. They love a Tyler in Cincinnati. They've got Tyler Croft and Tyler Boyd as well. And there's another Tyler Higbee who plays for St. Louis Rams. He's a tight end. There's more Tylers than build and assist in Chapel. There really are. It's taken over the NFL. It's unlikely he'll play week 1, I don't think. But if he does come back, he's one of these players who you can pitch count him, and literally wheel him out for the red zone.
Number 5, John.
Zach Ertz. We've seen Doug Peterson in. Right, I'm going to learn before the end of the season. Do you know how I always say David Carr, and I mean Derek?
Yeah.
I'm going to find out if it's Peterson or Peterson, because I keep saying it in Peterson and it sounds silly. I'll have to speak to Mr. Duffy.
Speak to Mr. Duffy, and I'm sure he'll let you know.
We saw that the Kansas City Chiefs offense, while Doug was with Andy, it can just about sustain 1 wide receiver and 1 tight end. Well, there's an awful lot getting written about the Eagles wide receivers. Apparently, if you read it and have that type of hysteria in your mind, Jordan Matthews is going to miss out on 200 snaps this season. No, he's not. It said he's better on the inside. That doesn't say he's crap on the outside. Nonetheless, he'll get his. And Zach Ertz will play the Travis Kelce role. So he's signed a new contract. He needs to realise that the NFL season starts in September, not December. He's the anti-Martellus Bennett.
If you if you got Martellus Bennett and Zach Ertz, you'd have like a fantasy god.
Oh yeah, but I've got him 68 receptions, 806 yards, and 6 touchdowns.
Number 4, then.
Number 4 is the former partner of Dwayne Allen, Kobe Fleener, possibly landing in, outside of New England, the best, most fertile proving ground for tight ends in fantasy football. The last 5 years, the Saints' main tight end has averaged 122 targets a season. Obviously, that was with Jimmy Graham, but that also included Ben Watson last season. Fleener knows how to get open. Worryingly, the more open he is, the more likely he is to drop the ball. But he's still a good weapon in an offense that's lost Marcus Colston, and has also lost Ben Watson. So he'll come in red zone. He's going to be a threat. I have him for 70 catches, 821 yards, and 7 touchdowns.
Number 3, Dutton.
Number 3 is Baby Gronk, Travis Kelce. We know he's going to be the focal point of the offense. They're going to run the ball as much as they can in Kansas City, but when they do want to pass it, they use Kelce an awful lot. They line him up out wide. They line him in line, in the slot. He will forever torment us, because if the Chiefs were garbage, he'd have some incredible numbers. But because the Chiefs are competitive, he teases us. So I have him for 77, 937, which will be a career high, and 6.
I'm nervous now, Dutton. I'm not going to lie to you.
You're not going to like it.
I'm not going to like this, because he's number 2.
Jordan Reed.
Washington zone. Talk to me, Dutton. Talk to me.
He catches everything that's thrown at him. His catch rate is incredible. He has shown great chemistry with Kirk Cousins. He's been paid, so he's got he is there to say to Kirk Cousins, if you want to get paid as well, use me. I've got him for 82, 873, and 7. So that, by my reckoning, I've probably got him and Kelce mixed up the wrong way. But if we're going PPR, obviously Reed will be higher, and he's got 1 more touchdown. Only real concern with Reed,
can he stay on the field? Can he stay on the field? When he was on the field last season, he was unbelievable. I think of all the targets, he dropped 3 targets of catch rate of 79%, something outrageous. And in the red zone, he was unstoppable last season. At the end of the season, we were on a roll. That's how it works. Will it be like that next season? I'm not 100% sure, to be brutally honest, but I'm looking forward to finding out.
If he's on the pitch, he will score points.
Exactly.
He will catch balls, and so will Washington.
Exactly, Dutton. And no guesses for number 1, Mr. Gronk?
Until otherwise, there's nothing I can say. I mean, he's going to get double-digit touchdowns. He's probably going to get 1,000 yards. He is the main threat. He's, compared to some other players in this list and outside this list, he's probably underpaid. The Patriots are absolutely stealing him.
It's that idea as well, with the Martellus Bennett, with Dion Lewis being back, that kind of freedom that he may have next year more than he has in the past could equal frightening numbers. I ask it every year, Dutton. I'm in the top 10 of my fantasy draft. Do I take Gronk?
Late in the first round, yes. Not early. I think if you're picking in the top 5, you've got to take one of the receivers. So the 4, the Fab 4, Beckham, Brown, Julio, Green.
Yeah.
You have to make sure this is your responsibility to your league and to fantasy football. Get them off the board in the first 4 picks. If any of them drop, oh my God, you're playing with people who don't want to win. But if after them have gone and you're looking, thinking, okay, I'm going to have another pick in a bit, there's still wide receivers there. If I'm going 0 running back, actually the running backs are starting to look a bit more attractive. Yeah, I'll take Gronk because you know what you're going to get. He's got a high weekly upside. And again, assuming he stays fit, which he has done for the most part the last couple of years, he's going to be fantasy's top scoring tight end. And I don't see any reason why I won't be saying this next year.
Done. Let's review again. 13 to 10, please.
Eric Ebron, Delaney Walker, Antonio Gates, and
9 to 5.
Dwayne Allen, Greg Olsen, Gary Barnage, Tyler Eifert.
And the top 4.
Oh, sorry, and Zach Ertz. Top 4, Kobe Fleener, Travis Kelce, Jordan Reed, and Rob Gronkowski.
Fantastic done. We've done quarterbacks, we've done running backs, we've done wide receivers, and we've done tight ends now. Good luck if you think we're doing defence and special teams. That ain't happening in this lifetime or the next.
Well, people are on the edge of the seat to wait for my kickers.
Yeah, that ain't happening either, Neil. That ain't happening either. We probably need to start focusing on divisions done, because we're reaching that time of the year where you think, if we do this show once a week and there's 8 divisions and there's 8 weeks, and I haven't got enough time in the calendar in front of me, so soon enough the division reviews, or we may flip it up like we have done on the past in another show that we can't comment on.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else before we go, Dalton?
I'm sure I had something deep and meaningful to say, but no, it's gone. My youth. And
on that Alzheimer's related note, this has been Wax and Lyrical. Get used to it.